This is episode 418 of Wheel Bearings. I am Sam Abul-Samad from Telemetry.
And I am Nicole Wakeland from Top Speed.
And I'm Roberto Baldo from SAE International.
And Nicole, what have you been driving?
I have been driving the 2025 Volvo EX30 in moss yellow, which is so bright. It's like a sort of like a greenish highlighter yellow. And I can see literally my neighbors. I see people walking the dogs and stuff this week, and they do this like, whoa, that's a car she's got this week. I can see everyone giving a little side eye. It is really easy to find in the parking lot, though, because it just glows like kryptonite. So it's very easy to find. So this is a compact, I guess, crossover SUV. I'd say it's a crossover.
It's a hatchback.
Hatchback. It's really.
I mean, you and I have had this discussion. It's
right.
You can call it whatever you. The manufacturers call it whatever they want. It's a hatchback. It's a small hatchback.
It's a small hatchback, and it's an EV. So they've got. I think we've determined, because I got no information on this when it came to my door. There's two trims. I believe they're shipping both the Plus and the Ultra.
Like
we had a little chat.
Every car delivered to your house is like a brick thrown through the window. Like
Yeah.
there's a note, but it's not signed. You don't know who it's from.
It's like, I don't know who brought this.
I had lunch on Friday with the head of communications for one of the Korean brands that is based in Southern California, and we got to talking about the press fleets, and particularly the press fleet in New England, and the gentleman that runs that press fleet, and some of the prior attempts to, how shall we say, extricate that business from his grip.
Oh,
It's complications. Yes, it's just a unique little situation we have here. So, and sometimes I get a key that has a key fob. I get the information off of that. Sometimes I get it off of Moroni. Props to Honda. They always send me stuff and Moroni via email. I'm like, thank you, Chris Naughton, because I always have your stuff because you send it to me, which makes it really easy. I have nothing on this one, and I was trying to figure out which one I have. We've determined I have the Ultra based on the features. So the Plus starts at $46,195. The Ultra is $47,895. So it is not an inexpensive electric vehicle. Like, you're looking at almost $50,000 on this, so it's not cheap. Yeah, right. Like, it's a lot for how tiny it is, which I think is going to be. I think that's going to be a problem. I think people are going to have a hard time sort of getting by that. It does have some kind of neat stuff. Like, it has this, beautiful panoramic roof, so it's just a lot of air, and it looks very bright, which I think is nice. You want a nice, bright, open, airy vehicle. It has neat trims inside. Like, aesthetically, it looks fantastic. There's a 2-zone climate control. There's a 12.3-inch center display that's like a vertical display. You don't have an instrument cluster, so it takes a little bit of getting used to, because it's the top, not even the top quarter, like barely the top quarter of the screen. Across the top of that infotainment screen is actually where your instrument cluster is with your speed. So it takes a little time to get used to looking right to see what your speed limit, like, how fast am I going? And you're like, wait, there's a thing in front of me, When you're shaking your head, you don't like that, Robbie?
I don't like that. We had that. Yeah. We had that on one of our minis. Like, you had a seat look over somewhere else to see what the speed was, and it's. I think University of Ohio has data that shows that's not good.
It feels like, shifting down is a really natural. Like, if you just do it with your eyes,
like,
if you look down real quick, it's easy. If you look right, it's a different focus with your eye, right? Even if you just sit here and do it, it's not as easy. So it's not this horribly cumbersome thing that you can't do, but
it's not horrible. It's just doesn't make any sense.
It's not great. So I'm not a super fan of that, but I didn't hate it. I was sort of middling on that.
It's like, fine.
I'm like, I can get by with this. Okay, this is good. It is, the interior, it has this funky, so the cup holder is really cool. It has this, the center armrest is very slim, and it looks like there's no cup holders, but you push at the front of the center armrest and it pops out, and there's 2 cup holders that go like whoop and sort of like extend out, and then you can push it back to one, or you can push it back entirely so that you don't have it at all. So that's kind of nice. I thought that was a neat way to sort of tuck that in there and keep it out of the way. The glove box is also underneath that infotainment screen, but there's no actual physical way to open it. You have to open it in the infotainment screen, which not a fan of, right? So
your battery's dead. where's the where is the battery? Oh, let me check the owner's manual. It's in the glove. Oh, wait.
Yeah. So I feel like with these, but
at least you don't have to reach far for the glove box if you do get it open.
Exactly. But some things became evident about why you just need a key. You just need a key and a start button, people. So this doesn't have a key. You have a key fob that looks, like normal key fob that has absolutely no buttons. It's just a little black rectangle. And then you have a key card, like the credit card, like you use at a hotel room or whatever. You can put the key card against the B pillar by the driver's side and it will open the car if for some reason you either don't have a key fob or if the key fob for some reason doesn't recognize that you're there, because you just walk up and you open the door and you sit down and you drive. It also, again, it's supposed to recognize the key that you're in there and it should just drive, but the key card is there because you can put it basically where you charge your phone. If you put it there for a minute, the car recognizes, oh, wait, you're driving this car, and it will turn on if for some reason it didn't. So you kind of have like two ways to turn it on because you don't have a start button. There's no start button. It's really weird. There's also no off button. Now, you can physically turn it off if you go into the infotainment screen once again, but you just put it in park and get out of the car and walk away, which, can I just tell you, that is so disconcerting. It is, the first time I walked away, I'm kind of looking over my shoulder, waiting to see the blink, blink, to know that it has in fact turned off. It's really weird to just walk away from a car and be like, see ya, and just hope it does its own thing. It did work every time. I had one time that I walked up to it and it didn't initially recognize the fob in my hand. And I did put the card against the pillar and it opened right up. But the weirder thing is, okay, so here's the dealio. I'm like, well, this is weird. So I went grocery shopping. Okay, practical things about owning a vehicle that opens up automatically every time you walk away and walk back. I went grocery shopping, had a whole trunk full of groceries, and I flip open the tailgate and the key is in my pocket and I grab my first armful and I walk away and I hear click, click as the car locks. And I bring it inside. And then I walk back and I hear click, click as it unlocks. And I grab another load. Click, click as it locks when I walk away. That thing locked and unlocked half a dozen times. Click, click, click. As I'm just going back and forth from the car for my groceries, which was just, I'm like, well, this just seems stupid.
And was the tailgate open the entire time?
Tailgate was open the whole time. Tailgate was open the whole time.
That's kind of goofy. On our car, it will lock automatically when you walk away with the key, but it won't do that if any of the doors or the tailgate is open.
Nope, tailgate wide open.
If one of the portals is open, it will just stay unlocked until you close everything, and then it'll beep and then lock.
And I don't know, I didn't see a setting to change this. I mean, it could have been buried in there somewhere, but I think this is silly. Even if there is a setting, it shouldn't work that way at all, like every 30 seconds. So also, if you happen to have the key in your pocket and you're anywhere near the car, you don't have to be super close to it. I walked outside to get the mail. Click, click. Walk back inside to get the mail.
Except
click,
when
click.
you actually want to get in the car, and then sometimes it doesn't unlock.
And sometimes it doesn't unlock. You have to use the key. Now, yeah, so that was a little bit weird. Driving it is fine. I enjoy driving it. It's got plenty of power. It handles nicely. It's a tiny little thing. So it, very nimble, very smooth. I enjoyed driving it. But the living with it part was weird, weirder than any other car that I've had. The other, I'm holding up, this is the key. See that little link? That was where they attached a whole big thing that had the key card on it. Don't know where that fell off. But I don't have the key card. So I only have the key at the moment. I have no idea where it went. I am in a panic. So I messaged them guys, it fell off. I went to all the places. I was in the grocery store. I'm haven't heard anything back. So I don't have the key card. But because they gave it to me like this and it was all tied together now. But I walked up this morning and had a panic moment. I'm like, is it going to open? But I just kind of held the key there and it opened up. So I don't have the key card. Which is and now, because I don't have the key card, I don't have a thing that unlocks it. Even worse, right? So you can unlock and lock it and start it, I believe, even with the app. If you download the Volvo Cars app, which brings you to an E30 app that will unlock it. But so you have a backup, so it's not like we're locked out. But yeah, so that's I'm not a fan of this setup, as I proved with just 1 week of use. The other thing what I ran into, and I talked to you about this, Sam, earlier, and I have yet to figure out why this is happening. I cannot charge this vehicle at home. I have a Grizzly Avalanche Edition charger that we've had for, I think, 3 or 4 years now. I was trying to remember exactly when I bought it. It's charged every EV I've ever had in my driveway without issue, all of them. F-150 Lightning, tiny little things, big little things, everything. It will not charge the CX30. As soon as I plug it in, I get the charger faults and starts blinking red and beeping. And I thought for a second, oh, did I like connect it wonkily or something? Unplug it, plug it back in. Nope, won't do it. But I have to unplug because I have a plug-in one. Mine's not hardwired into the wall. I have to unplug it from the wall, plug it back in. Then it will work fine to charge my personal car, to charge Russ's car, but it will not charge this EV30. So I don't know why. I tried to get it to charge at a Tesla supercharger near our house, which is a relatively new generation one. It is one of the ones that should have been able to charge the EX30. Went into the Tesla app, did all the stuff. Tesla's like, okay, it can take 2 minutes before your car starts charging. Like, it gives you a little note, never charged. Gave me the same message that it had given me at home. Like, it doesn't handshake. It never recognizes that it's plugged in and starts charging. Then I went, after that failed, leaving that plugged in while I was at dinner, I went across the street to the mall, picked a different level 2 just charging company, get it all plugged in for it to say, sorry, we're having a network issue right now. We can't process your transaction. Like, gosh, dang it. Go to a different level 2 charging bank. And I think it was EA, I think it was Electrify America at the mall. Plug it in, charges, huzzah, then have to kill time at the mall and end up spending $200 at the mall I didn't need to spend. But there was also somebody who was there with a brand new Audi. I didn't catch which one, but it's one of the e-trons. It's like one of the SUVs. She has a brand new Audi and she can't figure out how to get it to charge. And she says to me, like, have you done this before? Do you know how this works? And I said, yeah, I do. She's like, can you help me? I said, yes, hold on a second. So I walk over to help this woman and I'm like, what are you doing here? And well, Audi, different, like, just complications of EV charging. So she has a year free charging at the Electrify America charging stations. But to do that, you have to apparently use the Audi app to use that. There's an Audi app, and she said you have to go through the Audi app. Now, I didn't research this. I'm just telling you, either way, this is what the customer thought, okay? Through the Audi app to charge it, and she's trying to use the Audi app because that's what they said she had to use. Now, she might have been mistaken, but that's what she thought. But the Audi app was down, and the Audi app was giving her all these errors, and she was thinking it was because she was doing something wrong because she hadn't charged it before. But no, it was that the app was not working. So I said, well, you can just, sign up for, just charge it like normal. You don't have to use the app. And that's when she's like, oh, no, I have free charging. I wanted to use the free charging because I have free charging for a year. So for her to charge it now, she's paying for it because she couldn't get things to work the way that she was told to get them to work. I'm like, wow, this is just, once again, a great experience for the EV. It's weird. I'm not anti-EV, and I think I'm really coming off that way lately, but it is complicated at times with these. Like,
it's too incredibly complicated. That's right? The problem. You should be able to plug it in. You should be able to go into a service station, give someone $10 and say, I want $10 of electricity on charger 4. Right. That's what we should be. That should be the goal.
Be that easy. I
want the front of the EV station just to look like the front of a gas station. We just slip in a box on there that's not really made to be outside in the first place for your credit card is not. It should be.
So that was my. So driving the EX30, I liked driving it. I enjoyed my time driving it. I did not enjoy how the locking and unlocking feature doesn't work. And I had issues getting it to charge. So I literally had to take it from my house we picked dinner across from a Tesla supercharger or Tesla chargers so that we could charge this car for nothing. And then had to still go across to the mall and kill some time letting it charge right up. So not an ideal EV experience.
And how much was the EX30?
So keeping in mind before you answer that question, this is it's a subcompact hatchback. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not huge. It's a 5-seater that's really 4. I mean, getting 3 in the back, that would be tight.
And even for 2 adults in the back is snug.
This is $47,895. That many dollars. So it is not an inexpensive car. So I don't know. I have a hard time with the whole making sense of some of the pricing and things on EVs, and especially, as the incentive disappears in, where are we now? You got 2 weeks to lock in your sale, or you lose
16 days as we record.
16 days. So you lose that. This is an expensive proposition. I don't hate the car or anything, but I'm like, I don't know that I would want to pay $47,895 for this.
Yeah, a couple of years ago when Volvo first unveiled this car, at the time, there was, they said, it's going to start, around $35,000 in the U.S. And, the plan was that there was going to be a single motor version, which had like 270 horsepower. And, that one, I've had a chance to drive one of those. It's actually a lot of fun, because it's a small car, 270 horsepower, rear wheel drive. It's a lot of fun to drive. And, $35,000, $36,000, $37,000, depending on options and stuff. That, I think, would have been a more reasonable proposition. But in between that time and now, we've had, because originally those cars were being built in China at a Geely factory. And, subsequently they've added production at a plant in Belgium. But first, they imposed 100% tariff on Chinese-built EVs last year, even before the current administration in Washington. And then, the whole tariff thing has just gotten totally out of hand. So even now with tariffs on European-built vehicles, it didn't make the business case no longer made sense for Volvo to bring over that base rear-wheel drive model. So now the only ones we get are the dual motors, in the plus or ultra trims, which are in the upper $40,000 range. And that price point makes
it's too much for this car.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. And I want to say that it's not Volvo's fault that the pricing doesn't make sense on this. For everything that you've listed there, this is a very changeable time for the automotive industry in general, but especially if you're trying to produce an electric vehicle. Between the tariffs and just public sentiment towards EVs and the what's the word I'm looking
politicization.
for? Thank you. Couldn't say
That's
it.
a hard word.
Politicization.
Too many syllables.
Too many syllables of the entire issue. It's tough for them to react. And I feel like this is a case where Volvo's getting their butt kicked a little bit. Like this, through no fault of their own, this did not go the way that they had planned. It did not. But, do you guys want to take a and I should say that price I gave you includes destination. So I'm sorry, it's $46,600 before, so it's $1,295. I'm just going to tell you, $1,295 for destination on this.
That's exactly what I was going to guess.
I knew you were going to guess. I just took away your win. Sorry, you win, Sam.
Winner.
So, so that's so. It's. I feel like this is a case study of why it's tough to be a car maker right now. It's a decent car,
especially for a brand like Volvo.
Especially for a brand like Volvo, it is a decent car. It is not a bad car. I mean, like I said, I enjoyed driving it. It's just there's as a value proposition, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. It just doesn't. But it's fun to drive this fancy, what is it, moss yellow exterior.
I'd really like that color, by the way.
I do like it. It's funny when you look on their color thing. You've got gray, vapor gray, onyx black, crystal white, cloud blue. All these really calm, muted colors. And then it's like moss yellow. I love this. Inspired by the color of lichen on Swedish granite rocks and uniquely designed for the EX30. That's where they came up with this color. I can get behind that.
And one thing you didn't mention, the EX30 even has a reasonably sized frunk.
Yes, it does. It does have a good frunk. So, and not everything has a frunk, which is interesting to me, just because some OEMs say they don't have a frunk because it's not safe. Like you get varying reasons for why they'll say, well, we don't have a frunk at this. Oh, it doesn't withstand crash tests the way we want it to, and this and that. I know. I've literally had OEMs say that. I'm like, what? So, but I appreciate that they actually put a front, because that's one of the cool bonuses of having an EV is that where you have an engine, instead you have a place to put some extra stuff out of sight. So,
and it has manual vents. Despite almost everything being in the touchscreen, the vents are manual.
I thought that, I literally was thinking, I'm like, for how much they've shoved in that touchscreen, somebody's like, vents are a step too far, gentlemen. Let's hold it there. Let's give them manual vents.
All right. Robbie, did you drive anything?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we'll get back to you did drive something, but we'll get to that in a couple of minutes.
Oh, yeah, I did drive something. You're right. Never mind. I'm a liar. I'm a filthy liar.
Did you know you can support Wheel Bearings directly? Head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia, and you can become a patron today. Your contributions will help fund the platforms and tools we use to bring the podcast to you. And exclusives and improvements are already on the way thanks to your generosity. So if you want to be part of an automotive podcast like no other, head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia. We've updated the Wheel Bearings merch store, and now there's a whole bunch of new choices, new colors, new styles, T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, travel mugs, stickers, aprons, tote bags, you name it. You can get your Wheel Bearings merch at shop.wheelbearings.media. Go check it out. That's shop.wheelbearings.media. All right. Well, I also had a Volvo. I had the XC90 T8 plug-in hybrid. Actually, let me see the full unadulterated name. XC90 T8 all-wheel drive plug-in hybrid Ultra Dark 7-passenger. So this is a vehicle that a few years ago was not really in Volvo's plan for it to even still be being built today. It was supposed to be replaced by the EX90. Volvo's target, 4 or 5 years ago was they wanted to be pretty much all electric by 2025. They designed the EX90, and it was supposed to be effectively a replacement for the XC90. It's similar in size, but it's battery electric. But things happened. Things happened with the market for EVs. Things also happened with Volvo's development of the EX90 and its SPA2 platform. That got severely delayed. It was more than a year late to market, and they're still having issues with it, with the software, mostly with the software. If you look online, there's people complaining about software problems with the EX90. But so given all that, Volvo decided to do a refresh of the XC90, which is a fairly mild refresh. Basically got a new grille, new headlights, or an updated version of the headlights. So it's still got the Thor's hammer signature lights, that Volvo's have been having for a number of years now. The grille is now, it's this sort of crosshatched bias ply thing. So if looking at it from the front, the lower half and right side of the grille are slanted in one direction, and then the upper half and left side are slanted in the diagonal in the opposite direction, and it kind of overlaps. It's a nice look to it. And I have liked the XC90 for a long time, since this current generation came out in 2015, 16. It was the first of the current modern generation of Volvos built under Geely ownership. It's the first one to use the SPA platform, the scalable product architecture platform. And I've always liked driving it. I've always liked the way it looks. It's fairly roomy. Over the years I've driven a few different plug-in hybrids. A couple of years ago, but 3 years ago, they did an update, a refresh of the powertrain. It used to be, when it first came out, it's always had a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. But they used to have it with with a supercharger on there as well. So you had a turbocharger and a supercharger. And they would sell that. So you had there were three different flavors of the XC90 with different powertrain options. There was the T5, which was just the turbo, the T6, which was the turbo and the supercharger, and that did about 320 horsepower, and then the T8, which was the plug-in hybrid, which had the turbocharged and supercharged engine plus the motor on the rear axle and a battery down the center tunnel. They got rid of the supercharger a couple of years back, and they switched that out with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. So now, they've got two different powertrain options. The B5, it has the turbo and the mild hybrid with about 300 and some horsepower, and then the T8 is the plug-in hybrid. They add the electric motor and the battery, and they upgraded the size of the battery when they did that. And they also upgraded the electric motor. So it went from about 100 horsepower on the rear electric motor to 143 horsepower. So now you've got 312 horsepower at the front, 143 on the rear, and 455 combined. So this is actually a pretty quick vehicle. It'll do 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds. And the bigger battery also meant that it got more electric range, and with the more powerful motor, it's now more usable than it was in EV mode. So if you go into the drive modes in the screen, there's the hybrid mode, there's a sport mode, and there's what they call pure mode, which is your EV only mode. And so I went out and did my usual range test on the same driving loop I use for most of the vehicles I try out. I fully charged the battery, put it in pure mode, and drove. It's EPA rated at 33 miles of electric range. I got just over 40 miles before the engine finally came on. And that's a mix of city, highway, suburban, urban, driving. And it went just over 40 miles on a charge. And you don't have to, you don't have to really feather the throttle at all to keep it in electric mode. You can drive it fairly normally. It's not going to be a speed demon with that 143 horsepower, but it's enough that you can comfortably merge onto the highway. Accelerate down the on-ramp, merge into the highway traffic without engaging the engine. So it's a good powertrain. And the other major thing that they changed when they did the refresh last year, and they brought it out as what they actually called a 2025 and a half model, although the one that I've got on the Monroney, it actually says 2026. The infotainment screen got changed. So previously there was a 9-inch touchscreen, portrait orientation touchscreen. They've replaced that with a larger, I think it's 11.2 inches now. And so the previous screen was kind of embedded in the dash. Now, because the rest of the dash has basically stayed unchanged, what they've done is they've pulled the touchscreen panel out a little bit. So it's now kind of sitting on top of where it was before. So it's a little bit closer, a little bit easier to reach. It's still using the Android Automotive infotainment with Google services. So you got Google Maps and Assistant and everything, and you can download various other apps from the Google Play Store, as you can on all other Volvos and Polestars. It's a pretty similar interface to what's in that EX30 that you just drove, although the XC90 also still has a traditional instrument cluster display. It's a 12.3-inch display, and you can toggle through different display modes on there. So if you're using navigation, you can have it actually show the maps, the Google Maps, right in the in that cluster display, so it's directly in front of you, so you don't have to look over. But it also had a heads-up display, so it shows you your prompts for when to turn and everything. The XC90 doesn't have the largest third row. It's a 3-row utility. It doesn't have the largest third row, so it's if you really need that third row for a lot of longer trips, this might not necessarily be the best option for you unless your kids are small, in which case they should be in booster seats anyway. It's manageable for shorter trips for adults. The third row in this one actually feels a little more roomy than the third row in the EX90. And one of the unique features that Volvo has, something that they launched, probably more than 20 years ago now, is a built-in booster seat. So if you've got a kid that is a little bit too big for a car seat, they need a booster seat. In the second row, the lower seat cushion, if you pull up on the front edge, basically the lower seat cushion is split, and you pull it up. You can slide it back over the rear half of the seat cushion, so it sits up a little bit higher, and acts as a booster seat. So the kid is better positioned relative to the seat belts, especially the shoulder belt, and then you can use the center shoulder belt, and that makes it a little more convenient if you've got a kid to haul around. You don't have to necessarily install a separate booster seat for them. You can use the one that's built into the car, and that's unique to Volvo. Nobody else does that I'm aware of.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. And this thing is large enough. Like last weekend, I went to the local big box store to get get a shed, get a big box. Yes, a big box full of a shed, storage shed for my backyard. And this box was 39.5 inches wide, but 23 inches tall, and like 70 some inches long. I folded down the second and third row seats, and it slid all the way in there and fit, and the tailgate closed, which is very handy. So there's actually quite a bit of cargo room in this thing. One other feature that I noticed when I was doing that, while I was waiting for them to bring the box out, they brought it out with a forklift because it was about 300 pounds. Is in the rear cargo area, there's a button you can press. The one that I had the optional active chassis with air suspension. And so there's a button back there to lower the rear suspension, so you can deflate the rear air springs, and it drops the rear end down a little bit, so you have a little bit lower loading height, which is convenient for loading things in or out of the back of the car. And then once you close the tailgate and start moving, it lifts itself back up to its normal height. So it's quick. It'll do 40 miles on a charge. So for anybody who's maybe is looking for a luxury 3-row utility, but maybe isn't quite ready to make the jump all the way to a full electric vehicle, but wants to do mostly electric driving, 35 to 40 miles on a charge, which is enough for almost everybody's daily driving, your daily commute. You can do that with this vehicle. Never use a drop of gas, or very rarely use a drop of gas, because once in a while it will run the engine in maintenance mode just to keep the fluids circulating. But other than that, you can do almost all of your daily driving in this thing purely on electricity. Last year, I think I talked about a friend whose 2017 XC90 had a catastrophic engine failure, and they ended up replacing it with a new plug-in hybrid XC90, and they've been loving it. They almost, except for when they take a couple of vacation trips with the kids, they pretty much never use any gas in the thing. So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So this is not a cheap vehicle. Total bottom line price, $89,695.
Ow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
$89,000?
Yeah.
Oof.
that had it had two options on there. This was the Ultra model. So the only options were the air suspension for $1,800 and a Bowers & Wilkins premium sound system for $3,200. You want to guess at the delivery charge?
$12.95.
That's what I was going to say. $12.96.
It's Robbie got it. So I guess Volvo charges the same delivery charge on all their vehicles.
Who knew?
Yeah. So the XC90 is currently built in Sweden, and 40% of the parts come from Sweden, 15% come from Finland, and the transmission comes from Japan.
There you go.
So
all
that's
over the place.
That's the XC90 T8 all-wheel drive.
Okay.
$90,000 is not inexpensive, but if you compare that to, say a Mercedes GLS or a BMW X7, which I think are pretty comparable vehicles, it's reasonably priced compared to those. I mean, those can easily run up over $100,000.
Do you think would you buy that? Do you think it's a good value?
I don't personally have a use for a vehicle like this.
You suddenly have two kids and a big dog, not a corgi.
When we had two kids, the largest vehicle that we needed was a VW Passat station wagon. That worked really well with a couple of young kids. We didn't find that we needed anything larger than that.
So that's the biggest car. No, that's just now I'm thinking. So when you had two kids, basically a station wagon was the biggest car you needed, and you survived. Yeah. You didn't need a giant SUV.
Yep.
The biggest car we ever had with the two kids was a Jeep Liberty, which again isn't a huge SUV. It's
the Liberty's pretty small,
like pretty tiny. Look at that. Both of us got through life with two children.
It's amazing how that works.
And did not have to get something the size of a tank.
Yeah. And, if I had not had this particular vehicle to drive last week, I would have just had Lowe's deliver the shed. I wouldn't see any compelling need to have a vehicle like this, a couple times a year when I have something big.
And even for that thing, I'm assuming Lowe's does the same thing. Like you see you can rent the little pickup truck-ish type thing at Home Depot and stuff, and you could it's by the hour, and you can load up
you can rent those for $20 for 75 minutes or something like that,
and just use it for the time that you need it, and then go right back to your normal size, much more affordable vehicle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've never felt a compelling need to own a vehicle this large. Mm-hmm. I also don't have a trailer or a boat or anything else to haul around, but to be honest, most of the people who drive these things don't either.
Most don't.
So.
Yeah, most don't. That's true.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. Let's carry on and talk about the thing that Robbie did drive this week.
I drove a car.
And I know he drove it because I was with him.
We drove a car together.
And I saw him in the airport. We passed. Literally, we're like walking. He's coming. I'm getting to San Diego.
It's when they kept moving the gate. They moved the gate like 3 times in like 10 minutes. So he's like, go to 360. What?
Robbie's like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to meet my guy. I'm coming in, so I'm out.
So yeah, we all three of us got to drive the 2026 Nissan Leaf this week.
Yes.
What did you think?
I actually really liked it. It's been a while since I've been in a Leaf, and it's been a few years. And there have been so many EVs that have come out in the time since I last sat in a Leaf. I had this memory of it being very dated. Like, oh, it has fallen behind in every conceivable way. It doesn't, and it had. It was, but the thing of it is, it was introduced in 2010, the first generation, when there were just, EVs? What's this magic voodoo stuff? Like, they were just not EVs out there. So it was it's interesting that this is one of the first. And yet it sort of got pushed aside. But I think what they did with this, honestly, I think it's far better. I mean, it's a really competitive teeny little EV now. What did you think, your first impressions, guys?
I'll let Robbie go first.
Uh-oh, you didn't like it.
He liked it. He's a liar.
I just want to give him a chance to talk.
No, I thought the second generation Leaf was a fine car for the time it came out, but it was so boring. So incredibly boring. It's just like you drove the car and you knew, like, all right, this does the thing it's supposed to do. I have no feelings for it at all. Like you didn't. It was just there. It was just. It was like the tool in your tool chest you never pick up because you're just like, This one, on the other hand, I think that they purposely. I know that globally they wanted to make sure that the chassis and the suspension and everything was based on the U.S. Tuning. So everywhere you get a Leaf, it's based on U.S. tuning. So if you don't like the way the United States tunes their cars, chassis wise and suspension wise, too bad, because you're getting it with the Leaf. That said, when I first got in the vehicle and I was driving, I was like, what this steering? It felt very twitchy. And it turns out it was. It's a bit tighter, I think, than most people would anticipate from a vehicle in this segment. That said, if you're young and you want a relatively inexpensive EV, and you like cruising around and having fun around mountains, cool. Yeah, there you go. As you get older, though, I think there's I think there at some point people over like 55 are going to be like, why is this is really a lot more than I anticipated when it comes to driving. That said, I really enjoyed the Leaf. I think I like the way it looks. It was comfortable to sit in for the 2.5 hours or 3 hours or however long we had to sit in the car, 4 hours maybe. The rear seats, there is enough room for me if the person in front moves forward. My biggest issue with the drive is that we only drove the Platinum Edition, which is all the bells and whistles. That's not the $30,000 Leaf. The $30,000 Leaf is the S Plus. I think there's a lot of caveats that come with this vehicle. When you hit that $30,000 mark, you don't get route planning, you don't get a battery keter. There's a lot of little things that you don't get, but it has wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. You can use a better route planner. You can you can plug it in an OBD. See, I always want to say ODB, like Old Dirty Bastard from Wu-Tang, but it's OBD. It is not the same thing. You can throw a 2 into the plug, and then you can get all your information you need for like a better route planner, or I'm sure there's maybe something else out there that'll work with that. That's the one I think most people are using now. There's, and of course you don't get the weird glass roof if you get the cheap one, which probably is better, to be honest, because in the back seat at 6'3", like I gotta, there's just, I can stick my hand between, my head and the roof, and that's where I can feel the top of my head and the top of the roof with my hand. So it can be a little tight back there for tall people. That said, every car in this segment, it's tight for tall people. We're monsters, and we shouldn't be allowed out in public.
Well, that's a little dramatic, Robbie.
That's a little dramatic. It's got an actual knob for the volume, which is yay. All the climate controls are either soft touch or they're in the screen. That's better than only being in the screen. That said, no, I really enjoyed it. I think the Nissan's ProPilot is still like sort of an undiscovered gem in ADAS, to be honest. I think it's for a long time it's been good, but no one really knows about it because Nissan's been having issues. It works fine. It's when we're on the freeway and there were some nice curves, it centered the car good enough, and I think that's really where you're supposed to keep your hands on the road, hands and eyes on the road. So it's a little helper. One issue I do have is, and I think, oh man, the journalists lost their minds about this, and I think they forgot. I don't remember them with the Aria. There's no one pedal driving. They're like, oh, we're not doing one pedal driving. Everyone's like, oh no, and then everyone seemed to forget. And then when this car comes out, they're like, yeah, it doesn't have one pedal driving. Everyone's like, what? I'm like, we knew this, right? Am I the only person that knew this? So they have this
I think most of us probably have not driven an Aria in a little while. We all drove it when it first came out, and probably most of us have not been in one for a while, and so we just forgot. And most other EVs, offer some sort of one-pedal mode.
I think maybe people were hoping they would bring it back because everyone's like, what? Instead, they have this thing called E-Step, which is like a workout from the 80s. And it's the highest level of regeneration. So they have like 4 to 5 levels of regular, regeneration that you can adjust with the paddle shifters. So you're like, all right, I can adjust my, And then there's E-Step, which has its own button. You got to push the button. But then once you're in E-Step, you can't adjust the regeneration. You can't use the paddle shifters. To turn E-Step off, you have to push the button again. Which is, and it's almost one pedal, like it gets down to a certain point, and then it just lets
down to about 10 miles an hour.
And then it just lets the car roll. You're like, eh. Another weird thing about E-Step is that, like in the Mercedes with the EQS, when it slows down, it moves the brake pedal, but it only does it in this setting, and so you've always anticipated, even with regenerative braking, I want the pedal to be at its neutral position. I don't want it moving around, because what happens is if there's an issue and emergency or whatever, and I go to press on the pedal, if I miss it because it's been moved, and it's only like maybe an inch, you just know it's been moved. If that throws that off, I don't like that at all.
Asked them. Did you ask the engineer about this? I asked them why they had this E-Step versus, like, why do you have paddle shifters to adjust the regen and then the E-Step? Did you talk to him about it? Because I did ask, because I was curious.
We did, but go ahead and tell us what did they.
So what I got. Well, I'm curious if they say. So what I got was that the paddle shifters to adjust are just exactly that. You adjust it how you want, but that if you want it to be consistent, they were trying to get this seamless experience, especially for people who are new to EVs. Is that if, for example, your battery is fully charged, the regen isn't going to regen because there's nowhere to put it. Like, you're not going to get that experience because there's nowhere to put the energy because the battery is fully charged. Because it uses mechanical brakes, that traditional, which is why that brake pedal moves, they say, and regen, it doesn't matter if there's 100% battery or 10% battery. You're going to get the same braking experience no matter what. So it works consistently independent of the actual vehicle state of charge.
See, I don't buy that because it's not consistent.
And I've had EVs for now like 4 years. I've owned an EV, and then like years and years of driving them. It's very rare that you're at 100% and the car's like, hey, regen doesn't work right now. Like it's like, first of all, you're charging to 100%. And so now you're like, okay, for the first like 3 miles, the regen doesn't work. That's it. That's when it doesn't work. Unless you're going down a big hill and you've, up to 100% or whatever. Like if you live on the top of a mountain, you fill up your car with 100% of electricity, and then you roll down the mountain, regen is not going to work for you at all.
Yeah.
But, the thing is, again, I think that this is a nonsense argument because, every car on the road that has regenerative braking, whether it's a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, or battery electric that has regenerative braking, also has an electrohydraulic brake system. And I know this because this is something I worked on when I was still an engineer. The last 3 years I was working as an engineer. This is what I worked on, was electrohydraulic brakes, that were being used. The system that we developed at TRW for GM, it ultimately got used on other vehicles as well, which is a system that is capable of applying the brakes independently of the driver, because it's doing stability control. It's also got to do the blending between friction braking and regenerative braking, so that you get consistent behavior. So that if the battery's full and can't take any regen, it uses more friction brakes. So basically, the brake pedal is just an indicator of how much decel you want. You're applying the brake pedal, and that's how much decel you want. And then the car figures out, okay, I can do X pounds-feet of regenerative braking torque and Y pounds-feet of friction braking, and it just automatically blends those together. So even if your battery is 100% full and you are driving down the mountain from your house into town, you step on the brake pedal. The thing knows the state of charge of the battery, that it can't take any regen. So it's just going to do 100% friction braking. And it just does that in the background. You don't have to manage that. And you don't have to tell people, if you set it for, that you want max regen, you've got that capability there that says, okay, the battery can't take any regen, so I'm just going to use this hydraulic actuator that I have to apply the brakes when the person backs off the accelerator pedal, and just use friction brakes for the same thing.
Just regular old brakes.
Yeah, like
the brakes still work. They don't stop working when it.
Right. Exactly.
Mechanically and functionally, there's no reason you cannot, no matter what the battery state of charge is, there's no reason why you can't have that one pedal driving mode. It's a policy decision that somebody at Nissan made, and Toyota made the same decision with the BZ and the Solterra. They decided, no, we're, in Toyota's case, Toyota says, we wanted to replicate the experience of a combustion vehicle for somebody that's transitioning, because most of our owners are, coming over from a combustion or a hybrid vehicle, and we want them to have a familiar experience, which is, again, kind of a nonsense argument. Yeah. I mean, fine. If you want one pedal to default to off, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But, allow a driver that is familiar with it and likes to use that to just go in and enable one pedal mode. If they decide they want to use that. There's no physical reason it can't be done. They've just chosen not to.
Yeah, it's very much especially because you have to reach all the way over and hit that E-step button. You can reach all the way over and hit the one pedal button. If you were like, I don't know about this one pedal. I also don't understand why you just can't be in the paddle shifters. But that's a whole other. Having said that, I really enjoyed the car. I really liked it. I thought it was fun to drive. There's still you have the requisite, it's a heavy car. It's got a battery in it, so it's heavier than your average, gasoline car at the same segment. But, it links corners pretty well. And it was a nice drive. I think it extended what my thoughts were from Japan when I drove it there on a track in a limited capacity where, you're doing like 40 kilometers an hour. And they're like, don't go above 60 because that's the speed limit. And you have to watch about eagles at the Grand Drive track. It's a whole thing in Japan. So, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it. And then Sam, the whole time Sam's like, this car sucks. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, I too, apart from the whole one pedal thing, which, during the Q&A after the presentation before we drove, it's like a whole bunch of people all spoke up about that, and many of us also spoke to their product planners afterwards, separately. They invented it. They essentially introduced one pedal to the world, and they're like, nah.
I learned how the first time I ever experienced it was on a Nissan Leaf. Like I remember trying to learn it and was like, this is freaky. And then you get used to it and it starts to work, Yeah.
Well, actually, even before the Leaf, the original Mini E from 2008 that BMW used, they had a fleet of Mini E's that they gave to people to drive to gather data about how people use EVs. That was actually the first one, and that was in 2008. That was the first one that I had experienced with one pedal braking, and it took me about 2 minutes to get used to it. And then once I figured out, okay, here's how much I have to modulate the pedal to slow it down, it was fine. I like one pedal driving, and so does my wife. She's been driving an EV for about 2 months now, and she in the EV6. Every time she gets in, she taps the left pedal to go from level 3 to the iPedal Max, the one pedal mode, and uses that. And she really likes it. So, but yeah, apart from that, the rest of the car is really nice. It looks good. It's basically a 7/8 scale Aria. If you
scale,
I mean, it literally is. I mean, it's actually probably more like 15/16, if you do the math, but regardless, amazingly enough, they actually made it slightly smaller compared to the old Leaf. It's actually 3 inches shorter, but it's a little bit wider, a little bit lower. I like the proportions of it. I would prefer, more physical controls on the dash for the climate control, but it's not too intolerable.
Just a weird soft touch button. At least
the
they don't
interior,
move.
Yeah, the interior was actually quite nice, and we were in the Platinum Plus, which has these softer touch plastics on the dash, but then around the top portion of the doors and across the top of the dash, there's this fabric covering across there that gives it a little bit different look. None of the plastics, even the hard plastics, are there. We've often commented on Nissan's excessive use of piano black. On this car, it is limited to just the stop-start button, and then the 4 buttons right around the center of the volume button in the center of the dash. So you got hazard light switch, camera switch, and then the forward and reverse buttons that surround the volume knob, and that's it for piano black. There's none anywhere else in the car. The rest is various matte finishes and various textures that looks quite attractive. And when I asked Nissan, it's like because we haven't seen the S Plus trim, the base trim, but apparently it will also have that same fabric setup, so it's mostly the same in the front and the front seat. The back seat area, the door panels have a little more hard plastic, but that's not that big a deal. Your passengers can deal with it. You've also got vehicle to load capability on this thing. So there's an AC outlet in the cargo area, another one in the front that can give you up to 1.5 kilowatts of power. And then you can also get an adapter that plugs into the AC charging port that gives you another 1.5 kilowatts of power. So you can actually get a total of 3 kilowatts coming out of this thing, which is pretty good. What else? Let's see. Yeah, I like the way it drove. I like the stance, that it has. And the electrochromic coating on the glass roof panel is kind of neat because it doesn't like on the Polestar 4, and there was something else I was driving recently that had this. When you press the button, it just makes the whole panel go opaque all at once. This one, as you press the button, it goes opaque in sections. So it's kind of like when you have a moonroof, a panoramic moonroof, and you've got the panel that slides across, the shade that slides across. It's kind of like that, but then so it goes, I think, in like 4 or 5 sections. So if the rear passengers want a little more shade, they can have that, and you can still have the front half of the glass open. And at one point, when we were getting ready to leave, I think from the lunch spot or one of the driver change spots, I opened up the back door to put something in there, and I noticed, part along the leading edge of the part that's opaque, it also has the word Leaf there. Yeah. When the way the sun was coming through at that moment, it made the shadow of the word Leaf show up on the top of the rear seat back, or the front seat back. So that was a fun little touch.
It's kind of cool. I thought that was a nice little fun Easter eggy thing. Yeah, I thought it was cool. Robbie mentioned, if you get the S trim, the S Plus trim, you don't get the battery heater. Like all the cars, all the Leafs now have a liquid cooled battery, so you won't have the overheating problems that they did in the past and degradation when you're in hot weather environments. But the battery heater is it's standard on the Platinum Plus, and it's optional on the SV Plus. The SV Plus is really kind of, as usual, the mid-level trim is the sweet spot. You lose the glass roof, which is fine. You can deal with that. But with the SV Plus, you do get the Android infotainment system with the route planning built in there.
And you can also, as an option, you can get the battery heater. And they say that with the battery heater, it'll provide, if you do precondition the battery, you can get the same charging rate at anything from about 0 degrees Fahrenheit to about 90 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So, one of the problems people complained about in the past is when it's really cold, the battery doesn't want to take a charge so well. You preheat the battery with this thing. By the time you pull up to the charging station, a DC charging station, you plug it in, it'll go right to 150 kilowatts. And then, at some point it starts tapering off. And so you can do a 10 to 80% charge in about 35 minutes, which is not as good as, a lot of the Hyundais and some other vehicles now. But it's about half the time it took with the old air-cooled battery Leaf, which is, over an hour, because that one was limited to only 50 kilowatts from CHAdeMO. This has the new Leaf has a J3400 port for DC charging, and it's on the right front fender, so you can actually reach the charging cable on a version 3 supercharger. So yeah, I liked it. I think for somebody that is looking for their first EV, or even their first new car, at a starting price of just shy of 30 grand, so 31.5 with the delivery charge, it's $14.95 delivery charge. For the S Plus, the SV Plus, you're at about 36 and about 40 for the Platinum. And then there is an S trim that's coming sometime next spring, which will have a smaller 52 kilowatt hour battery. Should be somewhere around 220, 230 miles of range. And that one will probably be around $27,000.
There you go.
Yeah. So that is the 2026 Nissan Leaf. Give it a look.
I like to say that the plural Leaf is Leafs.
Yes.
Leafs.
I asked them in Japan. I'm like, what's the plural? No, I asked them in LA, not Japan. And is it leaves? They're like, no, it's leaves. Leafs. And that's because it does. Leaf stands for something, and I forget what it is.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
Low energy, awesome Falcon.
Yeah, it's actually an acronym.
Yeah, it's an acronym.
It stands for
or a backronym.
leading environmentally friendly, affordable family.
All right. So you can get a cheap family.
And environmentally friendly is like hyphenated, so they can remove the F. So it's LEAF. They cheated.
Yeah. LaFaf.
So,
should be LaFaf.
LaFaf.
So I did sit down for a conversation with Tricia Young, who is the senior director of EV strategy and marketing for Nissan, and we talked about some of what they're doing with this new Leaf. So I'm going to drop that conversation in here, and we will be right back. Tricia Young, you are in charge of marketing, the marketing strategy for the new Leaf.
Yeah.
Which is launching in a few weeks' time, going on sale in a few weeks' time. Got a chance to drive it today, and since I want to put this out before the embargo lifts on Thursday, at least for our patrons of the podcast, I'm not going to talk about my driving impressions of it. But what I do want to get into is some of the strategy around this car. Particularly given the time frame in which it's coming to market. It's an interesting time to be launching a new EV. We're about 3 weeks away from the end of the clean vehicle tax credits at a federal level here in the U.S. There's been some pullback in consumer demand for EVs, and you're bringing out an EV that, at least in the S Plus trim, has a starting price just under $30,000 and has over 300 miles of range. Talk to me about kind of what was the overall thinking, the overall strategy in creating this vehicle, and so let's start there, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. I think one thing that's really important to start with is the fact that the Nissan Leaf was the first mass market electric vehicle. And our goal at that time was to make electric vehicle technology accessible to the masses at an affordable price point. And so with the first generation, we were truly seen as a leader. We brought a lot of people into electric vehicle driving and really opened the doors for that. And since then, there's been a lot of evolution, and we brought out a second generation EV as well, Nissan Leaf. With this third generation, though, I think it's really clear. We want to, again, demonstrate that leadership and how we are able to bring together all of the key elements that a consumer really is going to be looking for an electric vehicle, whether they're an experienced EV driver or they're just thinking about it for the first time. And that's bringing together great design, incredible electric vehicle technology, advanced technology that consumers that want to have been driving EVs for years will want in that vehicle, as well as intuitive integration that consumers that aren't as comfortable with it will find makes it a lot easier for them to drive and move into that technology. So all of these things coming together with what you said, over a 300-mile range, 303 miles, the 29,990 starting price, well, we think really what this does is set again the benchmark for electric vehicle technology, saying, consumers, here is an accessible electric vehicle taking you to the next step of usability, design, and technology, all at an accessible price.
Yeah, and the first generation, even into the second generation of the Leaf, up from 2010 up when it launched until 2017, the Leaf was the best-selling EV in the world. It didn't lose that title until the Tesla Model 3 came along. Given where the market is today, and especially here in the U.S., but even globally, I think globally it's maybe a little less of a challenge, but here in the U.S. especially, how do you move forward? What are the keys, do you think, to getting Americans to buy into the idea of something like the Leaf?
So I think the good news is we have moved into kind of the next stage of this technology adoption. Years ago, when we brought out the first Leaf, it was really just the early adopters, and they were willing to take more chances of risk, and the product elements may not have been as broad in terms of capabilities and offerings. Today, now we're moving into the early majority, and these are folks that have seen it. They have neighbors or friends where electric vehicle technology has worked for them, but maybe it still hasn't been that number one item on their list. But as they're looking at the next car, they're intrigued. And this product, what we wanted to really make happen is bring a product out that you have to look at. The design is there, the technology, the price point, the range. This is one of those vehicles where it's like, oh, there's no excuse or there's no reason where now it really isn't the right thing. And so we have customers, we believe a lot of customers who are current ICE drivers or hybrid drivers will be going, I think I need to check that out. I'm not sure yet. And when they drive it, hopefully they get a chance to really see how great it is. And they might just go, I think I'm ready. The Nissan Leaf for a lot of people was their first electric vehicle. And we think, again, this vehicle will be the first electric vehicle for many more. And probably also the electric vehicle that many of our first customers came into will then go back into and buy again, because we've really brought, I think, all the pieces together for that.
Yeah, it feels like, starting with cars like the Leaf, and there's some other products coming from some of your competitors over the next 12 to 18 months, where we're finally starting to get to the point where, for a long time in consumer surveys, the biggest barriers to EV adoption were affordability, and availability of charging and time to charge. And, it seems like certainly the affordability equation, now you're really getting to the point of almost price parity with an internal combustion vehicle of a similar form factor and size, in that $30,000 to $38,000, $30,000 to $40,000 price category. That's kind of where the heart of the market is for a lot of compact crossovers. And for Nissan, a company that, let's say, things have been a little bit of a struggle of late, is this a vehicle that is a good business proposition for Nissan? Can you sell? I mean, it feels like this is the right vehicle and right price point for consumers. Is it the right one for Nissan?
I think you can see that in terms of electric vehicles, Nissan has been a leader for many years. We started it, right? When people were saying, oh, it's too early or there's too many reasons why an electric vehicle may be challenging for folks, we said, we see this opportunity and we want to bring it and make it available to the masses. I think, again, what this does for Nissan is brings a vehicle that's a true value proposition and winning element for consumers, and also demonstrates Nissan's capability to bring so many pieces together very effectively. And, this is what you would look at, maybe not as a volume core vehicle, but definitely as a brand defining vehicle. And I think this vehicle, again, demonstrates how Nissan is a leader in electric vehicle technology and can bring really great products to market.
So how, what's your marketing strategy for this to convince Americans to at least take a look at it, try it out, and then hopefully buy it?
Well, I think when you look at electric vehicles, you really need to make sure you're targeting the right audience. So you have people that are electric vehicle intenders. We think the technology here is going to be very advantageous to them. So absolutely, we're going to go out to that EV ownership base and make sure that they know what's here and available. And then we know that there's other customer groups that are currently hybrid drivers, ICE drivers, and key markets or key demographics that fit that idea of where they're looking for electric vehicle technology, and we're going to market very closely to them. And I think that really at the end of it, you have to make sure that you're where the consumer is shopping and where they're looking, so it's targeted. There's no reason to talk to everyone nationally. Not everyone's at that place, but the folks that are at that early majority who are now ready to start looking at electric vehicles, we will be there making sure they know this option is available to them. And with all of the items and the fact that it has no compromises, we think they're definitely going to come in and shop it.
Do you think the main customers for this are people looking at their first EV, as opposed to, obviously there will be some people that are moving from a previous generation Leaf or some other EV, but where do you see the split between people looking at getting their first EV versus moving from another EV?
So we think about 25% of our customers are going to come from current EV owners, right? Folks that have driven EVs, love the technology, and looking for great packaging, design, accessibility, and all of those elements, which we'll provide. We think 75% of the sales, though, are going to come from people that are currently driving hybrid or ICE vehicles who have been thinking about it, but this will become their first EV. So yes, a lot of people, which is why we really designed the vehicle to be quite intuitive and simple to transition from a gas engine vehicle to an EV. It's, I think, very accessible in terms of the technology and the layout. It's, we didn't want to make it intimidating or overwhelming as a car. It's here for people so that they can feel comfortable driving an electric vehicle and seeing how well it works for their lives.
Do you think that some portion of that customer base will also be maybe people buying their first new vehicle, as opposed to maybe having relied on a used vehicle before, or maybe recent college graduates that are just getting out into the marketplace, getting into the workspace, and you see that as a key part of the customer base too?
Absolutely. So when you look at the heritage of the Nissan Leaf, what's really clear to people is that it's always been about accessibility and making sure that that technology was accessible to the masses. So absolutely, the pricing strategy is very focused on being extremely compelling as a first statement so that it's very clear to consumers, this is accessible, this is possible for you. So yes, whether it's a gas combustion engine consumer who wasn't quite sure they could afford an EV, or somebody who might have been in a used car is now thinking about going new, the price point puts it very much competitive with other gas vehicle offerings out there, and something that people absolutely should be considering. And as they're hearing their friends and family members and others that they know saying EVs worked for their lives, it's definitely something they're going to be open to, saying, this could work for me.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like in my own family, you've had cars for decades, but we just recently bought our first EV. And, I've had a lot of experience with EVs over the years and because of my job, but this is my wife's primary driver. And she, in the first 2 months has really fallen in love with driving an EV. And what's been interesting is her friends that are experiencing this for the first time. Most of them have never been in an EV before. She goes somewhere and, she gives her friends a ride, or, lets them even drive it a little bit.
And, all of a sudden they're saying, you know what, maybe I need to think about an EV as well. And something like this, where especially for, first time or second time new vehicle owners, this could be the sort of thing that really helps to spur EV adoption among a big part of the audience.
This is one of the most exciting parts about being a part of this vehicle, especially because we have been able to provide a no compromises vehicle that truly performs and excels. And so you have consumers that have been happy with electric vehicle technology in the past, and so they're extremely motivated by it. But maybe there's something that a consumer might have been intimidated about, or their friend said, oh yeah, that'd be great, but maybe it's too expensive. Or maybe when they look at the interior, they go, oh, I'm not sure. This vehicle is truly accessible in every way. So if they've got friends who are talking about electric vehicles, or they become the electric vehicle owner and then they're sharing that Nissan Leaf exposure to others, I think very quickly people are going to see how great it is and how accessible and how easily it can work for their lives as well.
I think, one of the things that's been interesting to see is where this vehicle's been priced, given what it offers. Particularly in the current environment of tariffs and everything else. Nissan is clearly being aggressive with this. You clearly want to sell a bunch of these. This is not just a little hobby. And I think that's great. How many of these do you think you can sell in a year?
Well, we're going to be monitoring that closely. And like you talked about, the market right now is very unclear, but we believe that we're going to have very high demand for the vehicle and that demand will exceed supply for the near term. But we're going to continue to monitor and try to make sure that we're supporting that demand as closely as we can.
Let me rephrase it slightly. Do you think it'll sell better than the previous generation? Let's put it that way.
I think it has tremendous potential. I think, you look at this vehicle, I don't think we could say no compromises unless we really felt that way and believed that we had the proof points behind it. I think truly it is a no compromises vehicle. It has everything. So, I see this as having a lot of potential for incredible success.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about the Leaf that we haven't talked about that you'd be very important for listeners to hear?
I think really when it comes down to it, this vehicle, the heritage of it, the brand has always been about great EV technology accessible to the people. And I think we've taken this to another level with this product. And I hope people get a chance to come out and see it, experience it, and make the decision for themselves. But I think they'll be very pleasantly surprised.
All right. And I agree with you. And I think it's definitely something that anybody that interested in in an affordable new car, with a warranty and everything, probably be taking a look at this thing. It's got a lot to appreciate, son.
We hope so.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Tricia.
Thank you.
All right, we're back. And last week we talked about some of the stuff that was being shown at the IAA Mobility Show in Munich. But at the time we recorded, there was another concept car that had not yet been revealed, which subsequently was shown. And that is the Hyundai Concept 3. This is something like this is expected to come to market as the new Ioniq 3. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to come to the North American market. But what do you think of this?
Here's the deep suffering sigh.
Yeah, we don't get any of the good stuff. We can't have nice stuff.
Remember the Veloster?
Yeah.
This is the Veloster EV.
Basically.
Yeah, it's the Veloster EV.
But with doors on both sides. Rear doors on both sides.
Doors on both, yeah. So
it looks fabulous.
It looks really cool.
It is so fat inside, and I see a little emoji guy on the side of it too, like what's the one? The Casper that has a little emoji.
Oh, the friendly ghost.
The little friendly ghost, yeah. Like it has, but they call it the Inster /Casper is the name of the car, depending on I guess what market you're in.
I think it's Casper in Korea and Inster everywhere else are the reverse of that.
And it has like a little emoji guy. This has a little emoji guy. I want a little emoji guy in my car is basically where I'm going with this.
It's crafted with love, according to the little tag on the driver's side.
How could that make you not happy? Crafted with love. I mean, come on.
And it's got, retains the Ionic pixel theme all around, and in the front, in the area that would be the grill, it's got a bunch of LEDs in there, so it can flash up little messages. Like one of the images here has "hello" as the message. I mean this is a cool looking little car. I would really like something like this.
Yeah, no, this would be rad.
I would too, but
sadly, we will probably never get it on these.
Just a lot of heavy sighing. How's the podcast going? We just sighed a lot because there's a new Hyundai 3 concept, and it's going to come to market, but probably not here. We're all a little sad, and we all just want little emojis apparently on our cars.
Yeah. It's too bad we won't see that, but maybe for traveling in Europe or in Korea, we can rent one of these and
there you go.
Have a little fun with it.
Maybe. Yeah, that'd be nice.
So remember the Ram 1500 Rev?
Yeah.
The battery electric version of the Ram 1500.
Uh-huh.
And then it was supposed to launch in late 2024, and we're now in September of 2025, and it's still not here. And it got delayed and delayed again and delayed again. And the most recent time that they said was mid 2027. Well, on Friday, Stellantis announced, we're just not going to do that.
We're not going to do that.
It's just not great.
Yeah, we're just
like, well, forget it.
We looked at how Lightnings and Silverados and Cybertrucks are selling, and decided there's just not enough people who actually want a battery electric full size pickup truck, and it just doesn't make any sense for us to build this. So we're not. But
if you have Stellantis money, that's probably a smart. But it wasn't like those other vehicles though. It had a gas motor. It was a generator.
That's
the whole thing.
That's I'm talking about the battery electric version.
Oh, okay.
They are still going to build the range extended version. So that truck was called the Ram 1500 Ram Charger for no logical reason.
Well, it has Charger in it.
But you already have a Dodge Charger, and there used to be a Dodge Ram Charger back before Ram was a separate brand, and so they put the Ram Charger name on the extended range EV version, which has a V6 engine and a generator to keep the battery charged. That one is still coming to market in the first half of next year, but it is now going to be called the Ram Rev.
Man, you should have just kept it the Ram Rev Charger. Because it has the word charger in it.
Ram Rev Charger.
Ram Charger.
So the Ram Rev is what used to be called the Ram 1500 Ram Charger. That I confirmed on Friday afternoon with Nick Kappa at Stellantis. Said, yep, that's still coming. That's still in the plan. So
no electric truck, which, all right, fine.
Yeah. I think for most people, the E-Rev will make a lot more sense for a full-size truck.
I mean, for most people, actually, an EV would make more sense. But for most people, think they want a truck for what they think they're going to do, they're going to get the E-Rev makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and the reality is most people that buy it, assuming anybody buys it, will probably end up just using it as an EV almost all the time. Except for the rare occasions when they actually have to tow a trailer more than 100 miles.
Or they want to show off for their friends and they turn the EV part off so you can hear the motor.
Yeah, except it's a Pentastar V6, so
they're gonna probably put speakers in it that makes it sound like a Hemi.
Maybe.
Just call it a Hemi. Just like we put the Pentastar Hemi in there. Done. If Ram just called everything they do Hemi, everything would sell. Just don't. Just why? Why? Just everything's a Hemi.
Just
say it.
put a Fratsonic exhaust system on everything and just call it all a Hemi, no matter what kind of engine's in it, and just give it a Hemi sound.
And but tone down the decibels of the Fratsonic system because we don't need deaf children. But other than that,
bring it down to like 85, 90 decibels.
You can bring it down to 70 and be fine. And just call it a Hemi. Everything's a Hemi. What's that? A Hemi. The windshield wiper engine, the little motor that runs your windshield wipers, Hemi. The little motor that moves your
Hemi.
Everything's a Hemi.
Nothing can't be improved by making it a Hemi.
Yeah, it's everything's Hemi.
Everything.
Every Hemi.
All right.
Chrysler Pacifica, Hemi.
I want that Chrysler Pacifica Hemi. Do you remember they did a race thing? It was a Toyota Sienna, and they had someone who's a race car drive it once to prove how fun it was. And they made this little video about this like mom getting her kids to school, and the kids put on helmets and everything, and it looks like she's careening around with them. And people got mad. They're like, how could you endanger those children? And then they released it okay, dudes. And they showed the video, and like when it was the kids' video in the back seat, it was really just like the car on dollies and people like sort of like spinning it to make it look like they were
that's not,
going fast. Like
they're
they
not
thrash
really
kids
doing
around
that
in a race
thing.
car. Come on.
They're just,
Yeah.
You know, they should have thrown Hemi on it and everyone would have been fine.
No one would have had a problem with it then. Nobody.
Hemi, doesn't matter. Just, you do whatever you want. It's Hemi. American flag, boom, Hemi.
Okay.
I'm saving RAM right now. I'm saving Stellantis.
You're saving RAM.
If they're listening, what are you doing? Why isn't everything? That's your best brand. It doesn't matter that the motor's been surpassed by a better motor. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if that engine's not the best one. Just say Hemi. The new one, call it a Hemi. I don't know why they're not doing that.
They should just do that. It works.
The Hurricane should have been called the Hemi 6.
Yep.
It's branding that works. Stick with it, man.
Hemi. New generation of Hemi. Oh my gosh. That boom, 1 billion sold. All right, maybe 10,000.
Okay. So Ford, if you look at their U.S. lineup, the only car that Ford still sells in North America is the Mustang. Everything else is some sort of SUV, crossover, or truck. And they've continued to sell cars in other markets, especially in China. But even in Europe, they've been gradually paring away their cars. They stopped selling the Mondeo. They discontinued the Fiesta in 2023. They're about to discontinue the Focus. But Autocar's got a story that apparently they're going to bring the Focus name back in 2027, at least in Europe, on, guess what? A crossover.
A crossover.
Oh, gosh.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
no. I don't. Bring back the Probe. Bring that car.
Bring back the Probe.
Sure, it had an unfortunate name. Bring back the Probe.
Bring back the Probe. Yeah, it was somewhat of an unfortunate name.
It was immediately a punchline.
The Autocar story actually has a pretty interesting rendering, though, which I assume they probably used some AI tool to create this. But it's a small, it's a compact hatchback. They're calling it an SUV, but this is like the Focus. But it's like they combined something the size of a Focus with styling elements from the F-150 Lightning. Because it's got kind of the lights that angle around the headlights on the front of the Lightning. Mm-hmm. I doubt that whatever they build will look like this, but it's kind of cool design, I think.
I mean, it looks pretty good. I mean, it's a decent design. I like how it looks. I don't know if it'll. I mean, oops! I just got logged out of that site. It's like no. I like how it looks. I think it looks cool.
The Autocar rendering. This is not the real car. This is just what.
Right. I mean, that looks cool.
Yeah, we have no idea what
like
Ford's
that.
actually going to build.
If it looked like that, it would be cool. That would be fun.
Will it pass all the pedestrian safety laws they have in Europe? Well, no.
Who knows? Who knows?
You don't have to worry about that when you're doing a rendering. It doesn't matter. It's like when people are like, oh my God, this concept car, the inside. They're like, that's not the real inside. There's a lot of laws they have to follow. There's no way that's allowed. Settle down.
Right? Calm down.
It will apparently be a multi-energy model, so it'll be available as a hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and an EV.
Cool.
So that's good. So they should think about bringing that to the U.S.
They should think about it, but I remember when they were getting rid of other cars, and I was talking to somebody at Ford, and they're like, "Well, what even is a car?" I'm like, "What are you Stop it."
Yeah.
Stop it right now.
I'm like, "Well, the only car you're gonna have is the Mustang." They're like, "Yeah, but this is kind of like a car." I'm like, "No, no. Stop this. Stop it."
I think anything that has less than 8 inches of ground clearance should be considered a car. It's not an SUV.
Less than 8 inches? Is that your...
Man,
okay.
that's a lot.
Maybe 7.5 even.
I mean, my Hyundai, my Ioniq 5 is still just a hatchback. It's just a big ass hatchback.
Yeah.
Yours and your EV6, wagon.
It's a hatch.
It's just a wagon.
Yeah. We didn't buy it because Kia calls it an SUV. It's a wagon, and we like that.
A wagon.
Yeah. All right. Then the other thing that popped up on my feed from Autocar this week was there's discussion in Europe about introducing a new class of vehicles in the EU for small, affordable cars, basically K cars. They're calling it the e-car category, but what do you think about Europe potentially getting something like the K cars, like Japanese K cars?
I mean, they got tiny roads. We've all driven over there. They're really tiny. Yeah. Every time I drive like a mid-size, I'm like, how would and every once in a while you'll see like a big American truck in Europe.
And it looks absolutely huge.
It looks monstrous. It's like ridiculous. Godzilla just walking down the road while everyone else is just a regular old iguana. Like Godzilla's just like, hey, how's it going, everybody? That's what it's. And I asked somebody from when I was at Nissan, in the UK, it's key car.
Key car?
So who knows what they're calling it in Europe?
Key car, K car, E car.
Either way, I want a Honda Beat.
Yeah. I don't think you'll fit in a Beat, though.
I will. I've driven Mike Austin's Beat.
Oh, okay.
So I do fit.
All right.
I mean, I take up most of the car, but I fit.
All right. And then, at IAA, BMW showed off their first Neue Class model, the new iX3. But the guys at BMW blog came up with a pretty cool idea for a Neue Class Z4. So the current generation Z4 is going out of production soon. But they basically took the same two-seat roadster idea, but applied the Neue Class styling elements to it. So, it's kind of like the front end of an iX3. What do you think about this one?
I can't get it to load.
I know. I'm actually doing the same thing. I'm like having a little troubles here. There we go. I got it. What do I think about the front of this one? Look at the teeny tiny little grill.
Yeah.
Tiny little kidney grill. It's so neat.
Kind of like a traditional BMW twin kidney grill.
I kind of like it. Not going to lie. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
What's the cat think? Whoever's cat that is that Robbie?
He's rubbing himself against my shoes. And then the dog is next to him, and he's just reaching out, and he's just kind of batting at the dog. He's not hitting, he's just getting close to hitting the dog. I don't know. Now he's just smelling the dog. And Bowie's like, I don't know what I'm putting. Now he's shoving his face into my shoes again.
Yeah, your cat's obsessed. So I was going to say, what's your cat think of the BMW Z4 Neue Class, Neue Class. I always say it wrong.
He's hassling the German Shepherd, so who knows what he'll do to BMW. Roy, stop it.
I really like this design. I think it looks really good.
I think it looks very good. I think it's.
I can't see it.
It looks really cool. Well, you just have to trust me. I like how angular it is. It's very angular. There's lots of angles. I like that the grill is not two giant beaver teeth on the front of the car. Finally, All right. So.
Oh, it's working in Safari. There we go. Oh, this is nice. No, this is cool. All right. Whew. That was close.
Yeah, right now?
I felt like I wasn't part of the conversation. I felt left out. No, this is rad.
Are you back now? Okay.
Well, I'm back on in Safari. Chrome is like, I don't know. It seems hard.
All right. And then, one of our favorite new car features, probably I would say, our second favorite feature after software-controlled vents is motorized door handles. Would you both agree with that?
Yes, it is probably second on my list of things that why must we do this?
So apparently Chinese regulators are having discussions about potentially banning them. Getting rid of motorized door handles. They should all be mechanical. They would allow, apparently under discussion is allowing traditional door handles and semi-retractable door handles. Those would still be permitted, but anything that fully retracts would be verboten in China.
I mean, I can get why. I mean, they're nifty looking, and it's cool that they retract flush into your car and it looks slick. But, the more you think about the safety of electronic door handles, I know that there's mechanical means of opening these things, but in a panic, are you going to remember what to hit to open you know what I mean? It's just...
And that's for people inside the car,
Right.
Well, first of all, in most cases, most people probably don't even know where the mechanical backup is.
Right.
A lot of times they're kind of hidden away because, if you've got this electronic switch there, you don't want to have a really visible mechanical backup right next to it. It seems, it's kind of pointless. If you have to have a mechanical backup, why not just use that all the time? But the other thing in this article is they mentioned that crash tests in China showed that when they did the side impact tests, that with mechanical door handles, 98% of the tests, they found that mechanical door handles still worked. But with the electronic door handles, they only actually ejected, they only opened up 67% of the time. So, if you are stuck in a vehicle after a crash, if you're injured and you can't open the door yourself, a first responder can't get the door open, in at least a third of cases, that's not good.
That's not good.
I shouldn't have to use someone shouldn't have to use the jaws of life to get me out of the car because a designer was like, hey, look at this.
Right.
I'm like, I just want a door handle. I just want to be able to grab the door handle, open it, and they keep saying, "Oh, drag coefficient." It's such a minute, teeny, tiny little thing. It's like the EQXX when we asked about why they had side mirrors instead of cameras. They're like, it didn't even matter. Like it's like the power that we had to pull to run the little monitors was it doesn't matter. It's a parlor trick. And I think it's the same thing.
Because the last thing you want is anybody panicking. If there is an accident, right, and your door handles are flush, and average Joe, you're knocked out in your car, is trying to help pull you out of your car because they're a good Samaritan, and they're fighting to figure out how to get you the heck out of your car because your door handles won't pop open. So now they're having to break a piece of glass to get to it causes a complication that does seem sort of like seems unnecessary to be having this added complication.
But you're going to have you're going to have 0.8 miles extra range in your EV.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I think everyone, you worry about your range and blah, blah, blah when you first get your EV. And then after about like a month, you're just driving it like a regular car. Like you've destroyed any sort of like efficiency. If you're like, you're just like, I'm just driving this. And I'm not trying to get the high score. I got to get to work.
The other thing that's mentioned in here is, according to the China Consumers Association, complaints of children's fingers being pinched by these retracting door handles increased by 132% year over year in 2024. And one brand even resulted in a child's finger being broken.
Ow.
Yeah.
Well, they are pretty strong. And if you're a little kids, the tiny little fingers,
They show their little fingers and everything, and they're putting things in their mouth like constantly. It's amazing that we're, as a species, we survived, to be honest. What's this taste like?
I don't know how much longer that's going to last, but...
But at least we can get at least China's like, yeah, no more of these stupid door handles.
Yeah.
And everyone else should be like, yeah, maybe we, you know what? They're right.
All right. And then two more things. I wrote an article the other day. A couple of weeks ago, I saw one of the former Cruise Chevy Bolt AVs driving down I-94, not far from where I live here. And, I was talking with somebody, but GM's failures with their investments in startups, whether it was external startups like Cruise or internal startups like BrightDrop, and got thinking that, perhaps what they should do, because one of the interesting potential business areas with automated vehicles is middle mile deliveries. Because last mile deliveries don't really work great with autonomous vehicles because you have the problem of the last 10 feet. If someone's not there to accept the package, when your Amazon packages show up, guy gets out of the van, walks over, drops it on your porch, takes a picture of it. And so it's there, until he drives away and the porch pirates steal it. But, except for cases like where you're ordering a meal and it's coming by one of those little sidewalk delivery bots, last mile deliveries, how do you get the packages to the door? But middle mile deliveries are a really interesting thing. There's a company called Gatik that's doing this, where they're focused on doing basically business to business deliveries. So, between warehouses, distribution centers, and retail stores, with that kind of use case, there's always somebody at either end of that trip to load and unload the truck. Well, BrightDrop is, GM's having a hard time selling their BrightDrop vans, but they've got this technology from Cruise. They've got BrightDrops. What they should be doing is putting the Cruise automated driving technology on the BrightDrop vans and using that for middle mile deliveries.
All right. Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's weird because BrightDrop was like, hey, look at this vehicle. And then they sell them to regular. You could buy a BrightDrop van, but like no one knew. Like they just didn't. It's the Chevy Bolt problem. When the Bolt first came out, they were like, "Hey, look at the Bolt," and then they did zero marketing for it. And the only time you saw a Chevy Bolt in an ad was when Volkswagen was forced by the government to do an ad about EVs, and there was a Chevy Bolt in the video in the ad. I think it's the same weird thing with BrightDrop. We're like, oh, here's this cool thing, and then we're just not going to tell anyone.
Yeah.
Like I guess my job to know. And I was at Charge Point, like shooting video, and a BrightDrop van showed up, and they were like charging it to do something. They're like, and on the side of the van, it's like, you can rent this van. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, cool.
So check out the article. I think there's something there, and I'll be having some conversations with people about that one this week at the Center for Automotive Research Management Briefing Seminars in Detroit. See if anybody's interested in the idea. And then last thing, hidden price increases. I was watching a TFL video the other day, and they were reviewing the new 2025 Ford Expedition. And at the end of the video, they were going over the pricing. They pulled out the Monroney, and they showed the delivery charge on there. And I was shocked. I mean, we were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago, right? You had, I think, was it 2 weeks ago? You had the Expedition.
Yeah.
And the delivery charge on the Monroney for the one you had was $2,195. It is now $2,595.
Wow, that's a heck of an increase.
And I checked for the F Series trucks as well, for the F-150s and the Super Duties. They have also gone up by $400. So since the beginning of this year, Ford has raised because at the beginning of this year, in fact, I think as recently as March or April, the delivery charge on those trucks was still $1,995, and they have raised it by $600 in the last 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
But they're not going to raise prices because tariffs.
Well, they're raising the prices in a way that doesn't attract quite as much attention from folks in Washington.
It's a secret.
Yeah.
Secret raise.
So yeah, that sucks. $2,600 now for delivery on an Expedition or Navigator or F-Series trucks. And I'm sure it's only a matter of time before they raise the delivery charges on Mavericks again, too.
Yeah, probably. It's all going up. Little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
They get you $100 at a time. 100. Suddenly it's $400. Yeah, $400.
This time it went up by $400 from $21.95 to
wow.
$25.95. And then we got one email this week. I forgot to put it in the rundown, but I just sent you guys an email. Brad wrote in, said, enjoyed last week's podcast conversation about smaller trucks with dually setups. My company uses Google Workspace, which includes a robust version of Gemini AI. That I was using Gemini, and it was not having nearly as much success as Brad did in generating a dually version of the slate.
Wait, where'd you put it? Did you just email this to me?
I emailed it to both of you. So there's some images, and I'll put these images in the show notes. But he used it. Brad used it to merge the Maverick and Ranger trucks with the bed of an F350 dually.
Okay.
And attached the results, and they actually look pretty good. Yeah,
I love it.
So I
got some great results from that, by the way. Some people were sending me some stuff. I have people on my LinkedIn. It's like, here's your dually. I had the best. It was like the best week. I'm like, every time I open something up from a list, I'm like, ooh, more ridiculous trucks. This is perfect.
But the first one here, is a Maverick with a dually bed. But if you look at the grill, notice that it's got it's got the orange bar from the Tremor trucks. But it's kind of askew, and it's down lower than it should be. And just make sure you check out the show notes this week, and you'll see all these.
Oh, these are great. I love this.
And also...
And there's one with mulch. He put mulch in the back of one.
And also that Maverick is towing like a 30-foot fifth-wheel camper trailer. And,
sure.
And as it's driving down, the extensions on the camper are out. I don't know what they officially call those, but a lot of these big campers, when you park them, you can pop them out so you have more room inside, and so it's driving with all that stuff sticking out.
That's not good for your aerodynamics at all.
No,
that's more than a door handle.
There's also one of the dually Maverick pulling a big horse trailer, and again a fifth wheel horse trailer, and the mulch.
My favorite is the mulch, because if you get a truck, what do you have to put in it?
Mulch.
Or are you even doing truck life if you don't drag some mulch around?
Yeah.
Mulch.
So,
who's this from, Brad? Thanks, Brad. I love these.
Yeah, these are great, Brad. All right. That's it for this week. Thank you, everybody, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.